design for disassembly is a very important aspect. So what we also did within this project is just trying out ourselves with an existing box spring. Can we actually dismantle that? And what we validate is, okay, how complex is it? And what does it end up with? Are there singular parts that have still a value for reusing and recycling? And is that worthwhile in terms of also the disassembly process? So is it viable to disassembly? So that's one thing where you can learn a lot from. But at the same time, you also learn a lot from just the construction of the existing product.
Hi, I'm Roy, and welcome to the 9th episode of Circularity Why Bother, our podcast series. This podcast aims to make circularity actionable for businesses and sustainability leaders. Today's episode is titled From Mattresses to Modular Beds. I'm speaking with Royal Auping and Saxion University of Applied Sciences on scaling circular design. During the episode, we'll unpack design, material composition, recycling, and reverse logistics with Wouter from Royal Auping and Arie from Saxion. Let's dive in and start with a quick intro from you, Wouter.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. My name is Wouter Dijkman. I'm already working for Auping for 18 years, so a long period, a lot of bedding experience, but did different roles from marketing till production. And the last 8 years, I have the greatest job because I'm responsible for R&D, and next to that for the circular transition.
Cool. Let's go over to you, Arie.
Yes, my name is Arie van den Beukel. Thank you for inviting me also for this wonderful podcast. I'm a lector, professor for applied sciences at Saxion, in Dutch Saxion Hogeschool. And we are integrating technology to come up with product solutions. And for that, of course, a circular design, sustainable design is very important. We see that also from our students who really want to become better in designing for circularity. And we are also helping Auping in this respect. We do that often with many different companies and involving our students to work on those projects.
Nice, cool. Happy to have the both of you here. I mean, like a bed looks simple. We all have one. At least I hope so. But I guess things really start to change when you try to make it circular, because like that level of detail, you need to start looking at the product and all the things you need to take into account. Like they multiply. And having seen that like Auping has taken back so many mattresses also over the past years. Yeah, I'm really like wondering when circularity really started for Auping, Wouter, and how is it changing the design conversations inside the company from day to day?
Yeah. There was not one moment in history where we said circularity is the next big thing and we will work on it. But if I look back, it was like 2010 that there was for the first time a sustainability manager. And then we started also to analyze products, and we saw that some products scored better than others. So we get some insights on those products. So really interesting times, because when you have the insights, what are you going to do with those?
Yeah.
And if you look into our mattresses, it's 50% of the turnover of Auping. Mm-hmm. And there we saw that we were using materials which has some toxic components inside, but also were not recyclable. And we were also working with Vercoulen who were recycling those old mattresses, and they could make like new cow mats of them, of undercarpets. But in the end, we wanted to be able to make from mattresses.
Mm.
And we saw it wasn't possible with the materials we were using at that time.
Yeah. And is this also like how you met Saxion or came in contact with Arie Paul, or how did that go?
Arie Paul, I already know because I had college from him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
And Wouter is also a former Saxion student, if I may say so.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and yeah. Sorry.
I think that felt very familiar just to get to know about each other also on this topic, how we can cooperate, having similar interests, the responsibility to come up with more sustainable solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that with many companies from a feel of responsibility, they contact us, but also with very practical things like some producers of electronic products who see that components are scarce and that it would be good to be able to reuse them. So that's often also one of the reasons to look into the possibilities of a more circular design.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think it's a lot like what you're saying, Wouter. Like when you have clarity on that baseline and your eyes kind of open up to like looking at the product that you've known for quite some time through a different lens, and seeing how if you look at that product through an eco impact or a circular economy lens, you are drawn to completely new things, like for example materials and how certain materials can prevent recycling and reuse, and even have consequences or impacts that from a company perspective you don't feel comfortable with. Cool. Can you give me a trade-off that you've made between uh, recyclability and aesthetics or comfort? Like, is that a place where you're going, or how do you? Are there any trade-offs, or which one is like a remarkable one?
If we look at this project, the circular bedroom, we are investigating that at this moment. If we're looking back to the mattresses, we wanted to make sure that a mattress could stay a mattress, and that was our goal. So we looked into other materials than foams and glues, and we came up with the polyester and steel solution. But when we created the first prototypes and we were testing them with the testing machines we have, but also we sleep on our prototypes to experience them also ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed that we created an even better product than we had before with the traditional materials.
Cool.
So it was not our goal, but it was a real nice benefit because that gave us the trust that this should be the future solution for our mattresses.
Nice. And how did Saxion like come into play? Like, can you paint a picture, Arie Paul, and like share anything about like your role in the part that Wouter is bringing up?
I think for Auping, so from this success of having a circular mattress, going broader to really having circular beds, box springs, bed models, these products are more complex, consisting of more different parts. It has a bigger impact on, for example, also the aesthetics as a piece of furniture in your bedroom. Um, and it's challenging to come up with circular solutions for that. So, and I think very rightly that Wouter also asked, like, okay, let's take some steps back and trying to look at the complete overview as much as possible, what concerns people, users, customers when buying a bed, what are the possibilities to redefine it, but to search for that, you of course have to know what is very important for your final customers, but also understanding the whole circular chain, how it is having influence on your supply chain, for example, and also return stream. And yeah, so we just practically we also have some capabilities of researching these things. So we started with interviewing people who are in this process of buying a new bed, and that's already starting to give some insights on what's important for them and also what's not.
Interesting. Interesting. Like, are there any like simple changes? Like, I can imagine, like, if you zoom out, like, are there any things that you like didn't think of before that once you were in the project that you were like, we didn't see this before, but like, is it the materials or like how materials were joined or architecture? Like, can you give an example of like a simple change that had a big impact?
Ah, I think that to come up with a solution is sometimes simple, but then to make sure that the solution gets implemented, it's really challenging. And it's, in my opinion, really challenging because of the behavior of ourselves, people. And that's everywhere. Like consumers, they need to think different, but also our dealers who are selling the products, but also the logistics, the recycling. So what we learned is that only we as a company, Auping or Saxion or other companies, we are not able to really make circular solutions. You have to do that together. And we didn't know that at the beginning of this project, but we started developing only a circular mattress. But then we needed machines. They were not existing, so we developed machines. Then we needed recycling. No recycle machines available, so we needed to develop them also. So we came to the whole value chain, and that's really interesting, I must
Yeah,
say.
I can imagine from a company perspective, like this feels like it demands huge commitment also from the company leadership, like to create the space for the scope of a project like this to become bigger and bigger.
Yeah, when we started with this project on redefining the complete bed, we also asked like, okay, how much room is there? And it was very interesting to hear that, well, at this moment, let's rethink and taking all the freedom that we have. And of course, later on, it needs to be merged into a viable product, but also business perspective. But having this freedom is also yeah, a bit of luxury, and I think that helps to create new visions on what such a product could be.
Yeah, and I think you're pointing to an interesting aspect because some of our listeners might think, "Ooh, like this is a project where the scope got expanded and expanded." Like, oh, this is not something I want to get into because, like in most organizations, that's not what you want, right? You want to finish a project within the time, within the specs, within the budget. But I think especially this attitude for Auping also unlocked new revenue models, right? Wouter, can you get into that?
Um, yes, I can. But first, I want to mention that
Okay,
we as Alping, we went in the circular transition of mattresses, and we need to finish them. And there are even also some risks if we don't finish it. But maybe I'll explain that later.
please.
But
Yeah.
if we look into the circular beds and box springs, we really needed help because we could not do such a transition on an even more complex product. And that's where Arie and Saxion is helping us. And then it starts with, yeah, why do consumers buy beds or box springs and what is important and what's not important. So we really understand what they need. And next to that, of course, all the circular principles we want to use to redesign the products. But we we really need this cooperation to make the next step on the other products of Auping.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And what was
Of
your
course, a lot
question?
of expertise is necessary for that. So, and I'm representing industrial design, so really the integration part. But we are also in this project working together with people from lightweight constructions and also from functional textiles, and bringing all those expertise together. I think that's also a strong part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is what I was also trying to get to when I said like a bed looks simple, like when you look at it, but then when you get down to the details and try to like envision a next version of a bed that is suitable for a circular economy system, yeah, then you get into all the aspects that we are starting to untangle now. So Wouter, you asked what my question was. Well, it was you brought up like we started with the mattress, and we're not finished with the mattress. It's super important to um, think about that mattress not just from the perspective of Auping as a company, but also take notice of what happens to the mattress during the use phase, how is it collected, and how can we design and produce a mattress that is suited for optimum value retention, preferably reuse or refurbishment. So like you said, a mattress can become a mattress again. I think that's like that's very a clear thing that I think we are touching upon now. What I wanted to introduce is you mentioned as a company we are part of a system, and when we started thinking about the mattress, we noticed uh, the reuse potential of the mattress was influenced by other stakeholders in the system. And then I brought forward that in most traditional companies, this can be problematic because it's outside the scope of your project mandate, most likely. But in your case, it looks like it also enabled you to uncover new revenue models for Auping. So I was trying to build a bridge also to that sometimes it can be commercially interesting also as a company to indeed take that step back and not just think about this one problem you want to solve with one specific product, but look at the entire product from a distance first and reevaluate everything, like the design, the material list. Like, so sorry, yeah, that to your question.
Yeah, and then there are different kinds of revenue models which we have in our minds, but the first one is the most important one for Auping as a company, and that's that we created a better mattress than the standard mattresses.
Mm-hmm.
So we're comfortable with that, and that's also the reason why we want all our mattresses to be circular. And at this moment, 80% of all our mattresses are already circular, so that's a big amount. But what we also see is that the materials we are using after life cycle are still having value.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you try to sell your foams after life cycle, you won't get any profit out of it. But if you sell pure polyester, like in our case, it has value because you can even make PET bottles out of it again for Coca-Cola, for example. And after that, you can make a mattress again. So it's a really good recyclable material. But there is a very big risk, and that's we are only a small player in the mattress industry, but also in the textile industry. And volumes are needed to get your components, cost prices on the right level, but also to make sure that every product which ends up at the end of life will be recycled properly. So it will stay polyester. And there we still are working on a lot. So we are also lobbying and stuff because we need other companies also to use the technique.
And is this the same solution that also IKEA is investing into, or is that a different one?
IKEA is investing in like the recycle companies who can recycle polyesters.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
it.
think
Yeah.
I think it's in their vision that they want to use these materials also for mattresses, but they are not using it yet, and that's probably because of the cost price. And they have another market price for their mattresses than we have. So we have a little bit more space to use these components and with this cost price. And IKEA, I think it will take like 5 years, 10 years, and then they will also have these solutions. I hope they will have
Yeah,
this solution.
exactly.
So, and another thing I want to touch upon with the both of you, and maybe Arie Paul, this is like a place where you can set the stage. Like, in one of the things that also draws me to the circular economy concept is the whole design for disassembly aspect. Can you get into that specifically for this project?
Well, what design for disassembly is a very important aspect. What we do, what we basically start with, often new developments, of course, having a starting point with existing products already. So what we also did within this project is just trying out ourselves with an existing box spring. Can we actually dismantle that? What we validate is, okay, how complex is it? And what does it end up with? Are there singular parts that have still a value for reusing and recycling? And is that worthwhile in terms of also the disassembly process? So is it viable to disassembly? So that's one thing where you can learn a lot from. But at the same time, you also learn a lot from just the construction of the existing product and what materials, what volumes are where, and what functions do they provide. So, for example, a sideboard which has primarily more a aesthetical function, where it turns out that there was actually quite a lot of material used in there, and also undefined material, so to say. So also the information that you have, the data on, okay, after disassembly, what do you have? What material? Is that a consistent stream of material, or are there inconsistencies and unclarities of what you have in your hands? If that's the case, then it's much more difficult to actually reuse it again.
Absolutely.
So these insights typically we bring together in such a disassembly analysis.
Yeah, I can imagine that that's extremely valuable, because if you have like these impurities, these unknowns, these undefined elements, and you have a strategy or a plan in place that promotes reuse and recycling, then of course you cannot like reuse things where you don't know what they are, because you don't know how
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
best reuse them, or how they influence the other materials that you're potentially mixing them with. What's your view on this design for disassembly aspect, Wouter?
It's crucial. So to be able to recycle on a high level, then it's, in my opinion, only possible if you have products designed for disassembly, that you know which materials are inside, and that also the recycler knows how to recycle those materials properly. So crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I'm always like intrigued. Like if you see like the huge amount of like different types of plastic, so materials that we have available, and to what extent you may call something the same, but there's like actually like different accelerants or like other chemical elements that are part of the mix that sometimes don't even end up on the bill of material specifications. So really that almost simplification effort of the type of materials you're using, trying to also avoid materials that have like double properties or are glued together. Yeah, I can imagine that is like really something that is also makes you think also in this process. Like, are there any standout materials that come to mind when we're touching on this?
And what do you mean about standout materials?
Yeah, like a material. Like, for example, you were mentioning the headboard or the sideboard, I think, Arie, that contained like quite a lot of different materials, and some were like undefined. I don't know if that's maybe an example. Of basically a type of material where, when reviewing it, it made you think, like, is this really the best solution for the problem we try to solve?
Yeah, I think the mattress is a nice example where Auping deliberately work towards as much as possible using a monomaterial or two monomaterials with the polyester and the steel springs. I think that's a very nice approach. What we see in general in furniture, those are volumes covered with fabrics, and below that volumes you often have all kind of wood constructions, and then it turns out that because they are invisible, so to say. It's just wood used that was at hand, and
Yeah.
then you turn out into having different kind of woods, and that already causes some problems in terms of your reusing stream.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you look, like, for example, in a box spring, it's like you have the mattress and then the box spring underneath. And what not needs to be inside the box spring is the question. If you ask the consumer, they just want height. They want it to be big, voluminous. And if you look at the function of the box spring, it doesn't need to have a spring. It's just a box for the design. But why do we put springs inside it and foams and all other kinds of materials? It's because we are used to do that. And every time we made a little change, and then we could say to the market, look, now we have an extra layer inside. And now we have even one layer more inside. But it's only putting materials there without a function. And that's not circular, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's how we work.
And of course, that has to do with marketing, and you have to have you want to have offer some kind of product range with differences, etc. So very understandable. But in the end, the consumer process of buying has a lot of influence on the sustainability choices, and that's also what I find very interesting, that we are also exploring that in partly also in this project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've like, and I don't know if this is like something that other people have as well, but I always tend to think that, like, my preferences or the questions I ask myself when buying something are more or less representative. I don't think that that's the case, but I'm just like wondering, like, talking about consumers, Arie Paul, like, were you able to validate that people that buy a bed, like, to what extent is sustainability or the health, let's say, of the bed something that they really look at when they make the buying decision?
Well, I found it interesting that no, they don't focus a lot on the sustainability aspect. They more or less take it as a kind of given that the manufacturers have an obligation to put products on the market that are sustainable and meet circularity legislation, etc. But they are more looking into whether it is something that fits their bedroom, that of course giving the comfort that they want. And often it's also something like I'm into a new bed because the old bed was already 15 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I can afford it. So these kind of aspects are often more prominent. But in the end, this has a lot of influence on the sustainability of the whole chain, because often it replaces also existing beds. So what is done with that? And most consumers do not really think about that,
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
unfortunately.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then, like going back to the recycling topic. Like, is there any like specs you have changed as a result of this project? Like maybe on your buying side in order to facilitate the take back scheme or improve it, or are you not yet there? Can you get into that, Wouter? Or
Yeah, we are already recycling 4,000 mattresses, circular mattresses, and we make new mattresses out of them. And
okay.
we are learning quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we started in 2020 with the first fully circular mattress, and it was 100% polyester.
Mm.
But in the recycling, at the beginning, we did saw some quality loss. And we noticed that in some of the materials, there was also a Beukel polyester, is how you call it, but it took the quality a little bit down in the recycling. So we changed that. And that's interesting because the supplier of us, they didn't even knew that it was inside their material. So we are also talking to the suppliers of our suppliers to make sure that the right specification of the material comes inside our mattresses. And there was also one other, I think, interesting is we were recycling in mattresses, and suddenly the machine went down, and it was because the filters, they were polluted. And what happened was that we used in our factory not polyester yarn but polyester cotton yarns. And then you already see that recycling is more difficult. And knowing that it's so specific, I think it's really difficult to make sure that every material will be recycled properly. And I don't think that the waste companies are able to do that by themselves. It's only possible if you do that with the whole chain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting example you're bringing up. Like it brings me back to my cradle to cradle days, and I know Auping also works with the cradle to cradle concept, where like one of the things is you try to avoid like mixing uh, biological nutrients with technological nutrients, right? So we're again back, let's say, to the mono material thing, which has like a big benefit that at least you know what is the best way to recycle or reuse it. Like if you start mixing things, like you can't compost it and you can't mechanically recycle it. And then if you apply a chemical process, you most likely also end up with nothing. So it's almost like the start of a dead end street, or waste at the bus stop, so to say. In this case, in the mattress. Yeah, interesting.
But talking about different materials, monomaterials, and their properties also for recycling, and talking earlier on about what matters to consumers, they are open for new insights on the benefits of material use. So, for example, they may not ask themselves for circularity, but if there is a value proposition on using materials that are better in terms of health condition of the bed and the mattress, better evaporation, things like that, then they're very open to that. So sometimes you have to use another aspect and another quality to get there open for a new design.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what has been done in the end with the circular mattresses. Yeah, the aspect of a circular mattress didn't really echoed on consumers, but having a better air circulation, for example, did.
Yeah.
So we really need to search for those items that are the consumers open to.
Yeah.
And fit the circularity strategy.
Yeah. This is like a super important thing you're bringing up. Like as consumers, like you're swamped with information and claims, and indeed you assume like we're in the Netherlands or in Europe, like we have solid regulations. All the products we buy must be safe and healthy and recyclable, right? But if you like dive down, you end up to the realization that what we call like suited for recycling is very often what I call wish cycling. Like it's only possible on the drawing board.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, and so that's like quite a big task indeed to try and change. Because I don't know, Wouter, did you as a company like even look at like you imagine like was it 4,000 mattresses you collected? Like I'm assuming like a lot of them still end up at the recycling facility, right? The Milieustraat or something, where they are, I don't know, if you're lucky, not incinerated. What's the impact of you basically recycling these mattresses? Are you able to quantify that already?
Yeah, we are. And the mattresses, the circular mattresses which are coming back at this moment are always coming back through Auping.
Mhm.
So every circular mattress ends up with us because it's change guarantee mattresses. And the end of life is only after 10, 15 years. So in this case, every mattress comes back and we recycle them already into new mattresses. And by doing that, we are saving 40% CO2.
Okay,
And that's really a lot, in my opinion.
And 40% of what? Like, I mean, is it like, I can imagine like my mattress is 2 meters 10 times 1 meters 80. So it's a big mattress. Is like what's the impact in numbers instead of percentages?
What do you mean with numbers?
So 40% saving on like small emissions is like a big improvement, but on a small scale. My assumption is that when you talk about 4,000 mattress, you talk about a significant amount. When you talk about a 40% decrease, that's also a significant amount. But I'm not sure like what is the avoided carbon on a mattress level. Like how significant is that?
Yeah, that's 40%. So if on one new mattress we put like the old mattresses inside, and in totally we save 40%.
Okay, so it's avoided carbon emissions in the
Yes.
new mattress because you use reused basically content.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Then
Correct.
I understand it better.
And at this moment, we're because we have not enough feedstock for mattresses, we're also using the PET bottles. So we have like now 40. Our CTI score on the inflow is 41%. So 41% of the polyester material we use is already an old PET bottle flash or an old mattress.
Okay, interesting. And I'm assuming this number will only go up, right? Because the mattresses that leave your factory now contain recycled content already, and when they return back to your facility 10 years from now, they can go into their third life. Or doesn't it work that way?
It only works that way if in total Europe you have EPRs. And every country makes sure that the products delivered in that country are recycled properly. And in the Netherlands and Belgium, it's already in place. So every mattress ends up in the recycling, in the waste areas in the Netherlands. They will be recycled properly. So the circular mattress stays a circular mattress. But when it ends up in Germany or in Poland or somewhere else, it's not the case yet. So we need the regulation to change.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the producer responsibilities, and that's based on European legislation. But it seems that the Netherlands is one of the four runners, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I heard this also from some of the other other customers we have, that like I was speaking to Flying Tiger Copenhagen last week. They of course have stores like across Europe, and there are different like data collection standards also on this EPR for different countries. So totally with you, Wouter, that there's like room for optimization and most importantly harmonization on the European level to make this work.
Yeah.
Just like wondering, like refurbishing and recycling. Like we're now talking a lot about the mattress at the end of life being recycled, which I understand because like a refurbished mattress sounds typical, right? But I'm just wondering, like about the R ladder, like refuse and like everything down there until recycling. Like, can you get into like how the different parts and components of beds also have different potential in terms of that value hill?
yeah.
Arie, do you want to
Well, maybe
answer the
I
question?
can give it a start, and I mean in general, I think it's very good to remain as high as possible on the value chain ladder, on the air ladder. So I think it's very good that when products are being repaired and having a longer lifetime, repair or refurbishment, you typically talk about in terms of beds. I think with the mattresses, the whole idea of reusing a mattress just has a certain limitation that
Yeah.
people don't want to buy the bed of your old aunt or something. But the bed as a whole and the bed models, I think that's really different because it's mainly a kind of structural volume that can last very long, and with some refurbishment of maybe aesthetical, visual parts, new coverings, new renewing of textiles, a bed can last very long. And well, especially also with Auping, they have some bed models that are already having in their assortment for really, I think, more than 40 years. So that already proves that that they can last very long, and they are still appealing to the customer, because that's also important.
Yeah.
And this is interesting because at the beginning of this podcast, you were also asking at future business models. And then we look at the box spring. In the box spring, we have a mesh base. It's the base in the box spring, and it's from steel. And it can go on for like 100 years. But now every time someone replaces a box spring, it will be recycled. But in the future, I think the mesh base will go into a new product, in a new box spring and a new box spring. And because you don't remelt it, you keep the value.
Yeah.
And there will be a business model in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Like one question I have, like apart from Wouter, you being a student at Saxion and like meeting Arie Paul there, like how did Auping and Saxion partner? Like what's uniquely valuable about Saxion's approach to Auping, Wouter? Can you speak on that?
It's mostly also that Saxion is doing it with 3 lectoraten. And if you look at the box spring, we need to do something with industrial design. So that's Arie. But we also use technical components, so constructions, and we use a lot of textiles. And I think that together with them, we are able to see what we need to do
to cover all these disciplines. Yeah.
And I really think that if you combine those disciplines, you also have facilities in place to come up with new and hopefully, of course, better solutions. For example, our colleagues at Lightweight Structures, they look at those side coverings and okay, at the moment they are more visually there, and they thought, well, can we not turn that into a constructional part? And that are interesting ways of thinking. So that could really reduce part of the constructional base, and also the existing side covers themselves becoming more lightweight. So you have a kind of win-win situation, and they do similar things in other industries where that is very common. For example, within automotive, where of course mass is being transported, so you have a win-win in terms of material usage and less energy consumption, which is also a quick win. But also for beds, I mean, also they have to be within the logistic chain being brought to the customers, and there is logistic between facilities of production. So a lightweight construction could be a direction that could be very beneficial. But that's just one way of thinking. We're really still in this more kind of concept phase. But yeah.
Interesting. And like now that you start, let's say, talking about what's on the roadmap, what are the things you want to explore in the coming months, and I think this is a question to the both of you. Like, where's the business case now already adding up, and like what does success look like for like each of you individually in the next 12 to 24 months? Can you get into these two things? Maybe starting with you, Wouter.
I think that we are successfully if we know what consumer wants, that we come up with a proposition that fills that need, but is also in line with circularity. And I think that will also be a saving in cost price, because I don't think we need all the materials we are using at this moment. And if that's the case, we have also a better proposition for the consumer. So in the end, Auping will sell more. But I think it will take more than the 24 months. Okay. But that will be the goal.
Wonderful. And you, Arie?
Well, turning on to that, on the value proposition, coming up with concepts that could fulfill these directions, especially a good concept choice. That is really a milestone to go towards to, and understanding the kind of counterproductive effects as well, because that's always very difficult. You think in solutions, and some things may be very promising, but you end up in a new matter somewhere else in your whole chain. And having this understanding of all these counterproductive effects, I hope we can really through involving all the different stakeholders, have a very good view on these as well.
Yeah, nice that you're bringing this up. Like, that's always like this phase you need to go through, where the solutions you just thought up create new challenges indeed down the road. But I also think that's like interesting what Wouter was pointing out, that because you're able to like cover multiple disciplines and optimize from different perspectives all at once, you're also able to identify possible risks for, let's say, creating problems with solutions earlier on and solving them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I think today during this episode, like we gathered some very interesting perspectives also on as a company, like the importance and the added value of zooming out and uh, questioning more than just material composition, but really starting from the consumer needs and optimizing the product from there. How this impacts your position in the value chain and also leads to like expanding the project scope. That there are a lot of benefits also to unlock there. I think that was very encouraging. I liked us also touching about the importance of, let's say, keeping it simple and asking critical questions about current materials used. Like, do we really need them? If we think about product functionality, trying to simplify things in the pursuit of circular solutions. And I think the scale in which you're operating already is really encouraging. So that was very insightful. I want to thank the both of you for your time today, and invite listeners to just react and respond and let us know if they have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you also,
You're
Roy.
welcome. Thank you.